Hey everybody, Namo here. Last night I had the lamp beside the couch on and the lighting was a little off and my phone's auto focus wasn't exactly working, so I'm really sorry that the video yesterday was kind of blurry. Hopefully it's not like that tonight because I got the ceiling fan on and have turned off the side lamp like I did in the first two videos. So we'll see how it goes. But we're on to another box. It's probably the same size as the two boxes yesterday combined. Don't exactly remember everything that's in it, and I know that a lot of them that are in it, I don't remember their names. So you're gonna have to bear with me. I might have to stop filming just to look them up to give you an accurate name. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's get into it. Alright, so we're gonna start with this little bag. This was one of the McDonald's Beast Wars. I had a few others, but this one's the one that's kind of survived. They had names, but I can't remember them. He was pretty cool when he first came out, but now his legs don't exactly, see, there it goes. They don't stay in place. But it's just funny because, I mean, look at his face. It kind of looks like the front of a semi-truck. Kind of reminds me of Optimus, in his car mode, like coming straight at you, other than he's blue. But just, I don't know why I've held on to a McDonald's figure, but I've held on to a McDonald's figure. So here's a G1 ram horn. I can't remember, honestly. It's one of Blaster's cassettes. Just kind of got him randomly from a collector's store because I always wanted to get Blaster and all of his cassettes, but this is the only one I got. Also got a G1 Sea Spray. Pretty quick and easy. Still held up pretty well. He's got some chrome issues, but he was always fun to let the kids play with. Even my nephew really loved him. Here's another G1 Micromaster. Don't know his name. I was really bad with the Micromaster names. There he is. Let's see, I know I have another one. Yep. And here's another G1 Micromaster. Again, I don't know his name, but there he is. These are the Siege lines. I can't tell you their names. Bad with them. Really bad with the Micromaster names. But these ones were cool because, they can combine into a weapon that's supposed to be a sword. And there's these two. They're pretty cool too. Never can really get the weapon mode to work right. I don't know if it's me or if it's the figures, but I'm not even going to attempt it tonight. So, the first one up off the top. He's from RID 2001. The only one I can tell you the name of is the green guy. His name's Grimlock, and that's exactly why I remember his name. Could not tell you his or his name or what they're called when they're combined. I have the instruction booklet still somewhere, but even though I've looked at it just to try and remember their names, the only one I can ever remember is Grimlock, because that's not who he is, but then that's why I remember it, 'cause it's just so ridiculous. So, let's see. Okay. So this is Machine Wars Optimus Prime. He's a repaint, retool of a G1 Thunderclash, minus all the gold plastic, so no GPS, so that's a good thing. I mentioned that in the last episode. If you don't know what GPS is, it's gold plastic syndrome. The 80s and 90s figures that had gold plastic, the gold is starting to crumple and just fall apart. But this was actually my own personal first Optimus. My brother had G1 Optimus, and of course I played with him, and he became mine by, hand-me-downs. But this is my first personal one, bought for me, and has been in my possession since. Excuse me. But, he's kind of special to me, even though he's you can't really say too much about the G1 figures not being articulate, because that's just how they were back then. And of course, yes, this is Machine Wars, means it came out before Beast Wars. Early mid-90s, about G2, a little bit running after G2, so he should have been a little bit more articulate, better engineered, but he's a redeco of a G1 figure, so you can't expect much more from him. Speaking of Optimus, there's his trailer, and there he is, G1 Optimus Prime. I had mentioned to my brother how much I enjoyed playing with his G1 figure, and how much it saddened me to realize that he had broke and we got rid of him. So he found this in a not so much a collector's shop. It was kind of like a secondhand store. It was really just Optimus and the shell of his truck. He didn't have the back flap, he didn't have roller, he didn't have the missiles inside, his gun, his hands, he was missing everything. I've parted him out, not really selling, but I've found his parts on eBay over time, and honestly, he's him and one of the special figures that goes into my glass case are the only figures that I have put more money into than they're worth, and really don't care. They're worth it to me. They're worth it. He's still missing 3 parts. It's the gas pump, the nozzle, and the hose for roller. They are the hardest parts to find, because trying to part them out, like those 3 pieces, itty bitty, they're the most commonly lost pieces. All 3 of them together are about $90, or at least they were the last time I looked on eBay. It's ridiculous, and right now that's as much as I have in him, and he was a gift, so I didn't actually pay for the original figure, but I don't feel like I should put $180 into a $75 figure, but I need to get those parts. Alright, so next up, kind of fell apart because this is, as far as I know, this is the fan mode. Oops, sorry. Fan mode, base mode for RID 2001 Fire Truck Optimus. Sorry, the missiles popped up. I had to put them back. So, you know, as far as I know, it's the fan mode. I don't know if it's an official mode, but I found the instructions online thanks to one of my collector friends, because I was complaining about all his kibble that you can't use when he's combined with Ultra Magnus. And of course, speaking of Ultra Magnus, here is Optimus and Ultra Magnus, both from RID 2001, combined into, never can remember his name. I think it's, I always want to call it Omega Supreme, but I know that's wrong because, you know, Omega Supreme, this isn't Omega Supreme. Never can remember his name when he's combined, but he was so cool. I had Ultra Magnus, since he was released. My buddy, the one who had Silverbolt when I was a kid, he had Optimus, and I would take Ultra Magnus over to his house, and we'd combine them, and, you know, just have gobs of fun. And of course, you know, grow old, you don't get to go over to your friend's house and play toys anymore, so I had to hunt down a 2001 Optimus. He is not cheap, but he is so good. So I kind of can't wait to review these guys separately, and for sure when that comes up, I'll have his name down pat. I'm really gonna be really bad with this box probably, so you gotta bear with me. Alright, and here exactly is one of the reasons why I'm gonna be bad with them, because I have non-show characters of Beast Wars. I want to say this is Scourge, and, you know, they just reused names, even though it did nothing, or was nothing like the original character, because, you know, it's Beast Wars. They had to keep the names alive for copyright. Of course, he's got chrome issues. He's just a weird figure. I mean, he's kind of hard to set up sometimes, and that's his whole arm. And they had to have some odd, you know, engineering to make these guys work, but sometimes they worked. You know, he was pretty fun, and I always thought this was kind of neat, where his knees are together, where it kind of goes in and out on that like a hydraulic piston. I always thought that was cool. Here's another obscure one. It wasn't in the show. I think his name is Iguanus. And he's odd, but he has an interesting transformation, you know. And I always thought he was cool because, you know, he's got a kilt. Being, you know, Irish and Scottish, that tickles my fancy. And I believe this is Jet Starfire, again, non-show character, so the name never got beaten to my head. He had a water gun gimmick where you stick his head in the water and pull this back to suck up water and push it forward to shoot. Then he had these flip out guns, flip out missile launchers. I lost one over the years, I was a kid. That one doesn't like to stay in. It's gotten finicky. But, he was always real fun. I always loved the chest flip to be able to transform him. I thought that was cool. And how he kind of splits in half, like God, I hate the Bay movies, but like Jazz from the first one. And another obscure non-character, but he by far is my favorite Beast Wars figure, and this is Manterror. His engineering just blew my mind when I was a kid, and it's even to today, it's just so cool, and just the way he looks in beast mode is convincing as well. He looks like a gigantic praying mantis, and that is awesome. He was my favorite, and I do still have both of his discs. I rarely ever shot them because I never wanted to lose him, because he was my favorite one from my childhood, and he still is my favorite Beast Wars toy to today. Excuse me again. Now, I have a fascination with gigantic figures and combiners. Always have. And when I found out that they had Beast Wars combiners, I tracked them down and I found them. This is Tripredacus. Don't ask me to name the three guys who make them up, because I can't. They were just random, Predacon names, and again, not in the show, didn't get beaten to my head. I can't for the life of me, no matter how much I look up the wiki for him, can't remember it. However, this is Magnaboss. I always loved how all of the weapons, the tail gun from Prowl, the ear cannons from Ironhide, and the tail swords from Silverbolt all joined together as a sword. And yes, this is Silverbolt. He came out before the Fuse Wars Silverbolt, the one that I showed in the last video. He came out before him, so he was given the Silverbolt name. And then, of course, when they tried to come up with the name for the character on the show, they just reused it because no one's going to remember that's Silverbolt. But I mean, when you've got Silverbolt, Prowl, and Ironhide, 3 G1 names, kind of hard to forget them. And I've had some issues. I don't know if you can see that the pegs have broke off, so he's kind of hard to keep together. He's really hard to stand up. These feet are just terrible. I mean, it's not flat at all. It's just a ridge. So he really only stands up by 2 full points of contact. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but he's got 1, 2. He's a nightmare to try and stand up. But other than the fact that the pegs held really hard and he's terrible at standing. He was so great. It's so weird how everything splits apart. It's just a mangled mess, but then it comes together and you can make it look nice and clean. I mean, the locust and the crayfish are so clean in their transformations to become combiner. But this beetle is, again, another mangled mess. And just look at that arm. I mean, it's terrible. And yes, their weapons also combined. That's from the beetle, that's from the crayfish. These missiles from the locust went into, here, and you could shoot them off. But just playing with them over the years, there we go. I broke the ends so they don't latch. They go in, but they don't shoot. They don't stay, so I just leave them up here on the wings. Alright, moving on. Here we have Transmetal 2 Megatron. Oddly enough, the only chrome issues I have are here on his shield, and it's just on these ridges. I mean, I've had more play with him than I have with Scourge and Transmetal 2 Rat Trap. And their chrome flaked off like crazy, but he is so mint, and yet I abused him. I mean, I played so much with him because he was so cool. I mean, this head, it shoots. He was awesome. This was so cool. He gave Manterror a run for top rank, Beast Wars toy. But it's still Manterror. Just because, some of his transformation is a bit is boring. Just this whole section here, getting it flipped around and turned right, and sometimes you just forget which way it's supposed to go, and so that's my drawback. That's why he's not my number one, Beast Wars figure. And here's original Megatron, Beast Wars Megatron. I'm missing the little flap that, closes up on his neck. So when he's transformed, he's got a square hole just right here, Heavy smoker, had to have that surgery. So I'm also missing that one missile, that one hit missile, and I never can get him to clip right into this back piece, and it's because of these, waste bits. They never want to get it fixed. Of course, as I say that, it clips in. Why is it always Megatron? Why is he allowed to be such a prima donna? Okay. Speaking of a finicky Megatron. He was such a good figure. I'm not grimacing because he's a bad figure. I mean, not at all. He is such a great figure. But if you don't notice the color of his plastic, he is terribly known to fall apart because of GPS. Now, I got this guy from someone off of eBay, and when it came to me, he was wrapped up in even more bubble wrap than this. And where was it? Oh, there's, oddly enough, one of these brown pieces for his torso had broken. Just one little piece, one little hinge in transit. I can't find it now, but it was the brown piece, not the gold, which is odd. But I mean, he's still solid as a rock. Just missing that one little itty bitty sliver, and I don't even remember where it is or where it was from. But I'm so happy he survived the move from the old house here without problems. And when I do a review, if I do a review, I'm gonna be so anxious while I'm transforming him, because I don't want him falling apart. You know, he really is. This is such a good design. It's such a good toy. And I highly recommend him, other than the fact that, you know, he has a debilitating disease. So it kind of hurts that, you know, he possibly could fall apart. So we're just going to be letting him down slowly. And we have 4 figures left. So, just kind of spoiled him yesterday. Here's Transmetal 2 Tarantulas. Now, when I got him from eBay, he's the one who actually came with the 3 cards, the ones I showed in the other video. He came with his original Rat Trap and Transmetal 2 Rat Trap. And it just so happened that, you know, I already had those 2 figures. And I opened it up. I wasn't expecting the cards because the seller didn't mention that they were adding them in, or that they were part of the deal. But I opened them up. There's those 2 cards. And I was so happy and so, you know, thrilled that it wasn't for figures I didn't have. It was for someone I already have, and the fact that they were... I had Transmetal 2 Rat Trap as a kid. I didn't have original Rat Trap as a kid, but I wanted him because my friend had him. He showed me how to do the transformation. Of course, that blew my mind. You know, I'd never seen a one-step. And the fact that you could see the gears and you could watch them work and you could figure out how everything worked, it blew my mind, and it was so cool. And then I got them, and then I got Tarantulas, and I got those 3 cards, and just completing both versions of Rat Trap as toys and with the cards. Just so awesome. I did have to track down a gun for Tarantulas because it was missing, and I don't know if you've ever tried to track down a gun for Tarantulas, but it took 8 months, if not a year, to find it because no one was selling them. It is apparently the most common gun to lose, and if you want to do vehicle mode, you have to have it. So I found it. I almost got him complete. I'm still missing one leg. To me, that's really no big deal. But he's pretty cool too, and I really like the engineering to get him into vehicle mode because these shoulder pads become a wheel, and, you know, here comes a motorcycle, and it's pretty cool. here is Optimal Optimus. And he's missing a head. There it is. Oh yeah, that's because I had him in robot mode. And then I had to pack him up, so I had to fix him. I don't feel like doing that right now. It's kind of a pain, but here he is. That's more Optimus. There's his head. Kind of have him in between robot and, plane mode, but again, another figure my friend had. Go over to his house, play with this figure. It was so cool. And of course, seeing him on the show, he was so awesome. And, actually, in this mode, I don't have Quick Strike with me. I was about to say, with this mode, I wonder if you could just shove Quick Strike straight in there, just, to be the, from the show where he drives his body around. That would be pretty funny. Okay, here's Transmetal Optimus. I keep hearing people give this figure such a bad rap. Yes, it's tiny. It should be bigger. But it's such a good figure. And, I think the biggest complaint I've heard is the whole surfboard mode. I never played with the figure before I watched the show. I watched the show. I thought when he was doing his surfboard flying around mode, that was the coolest thing. And then, I finally tracked down a figure for a decent price, get it, and then that's when I start hearing the reviews of people saying, oh, it's a terrible figure, the surfboard mode's so stupid, we don't need a surfing, gorilla, blah, blah, blah. Just get the figure, or get it in your hands, transform a few times, put him into all of his modes, gorilla mode, surfboard mode, robot mode, combat mode, he's great. He's amazing. I really like him. He's a lot of fun, and of course, they're toys. They're about playability, using your imagination to do whatever you want to do, however you want to play with it. That's all it's about. And for that, he's a great figure. He meets all those marks. And here, last, not least, original Optimus Primal. He was my first Beast Wars toy. I actually was given he was given to me for my birthday before I ever even watched the show. And I just thought it was so cool. I mean, after these years, the arm gimmick still works. Still have the cannons. I'm missing all the missiles except for this one. But I still have the swords. I still have both of them. I still have his skull mace. But, like I said, he was my first one. I played so hard with him that I have a little twist tie on his wrist because I broke the clip. And because it's spring-loaded, I have to have something that holds in the cannon. Otherwise, his arm explodes. So, he holds a special place to me because, he was my first Beast Wars figure, my second Optimus figure, behind Machine Wars Optimus. And his engineering, his transformation, so simple, but it reignited the spark in me for Transformers. You know, I watched the G1 show in syndication. I played with my brother's G1 figures. You know, I thought they were cool. You know, my brothers, you know, because I'm the youngest, looked up to my brothers, and I tried to like the things they liked so that, you know, we could all play together. And that's what Transformers was to me. And then Beast Wars was my own. You know, they were too old for it then. And just playing with him and then watching the show, oh my gosh, the show. I know a lot of people hate it. It was so good. And honestly, if it wasn't for the first line of Beast Wars, if it wasn't for the Beast Wars cartoon, I don't think Transformers would be around right now. You know, G2 did not do very well. You know, people lost interest. And then Machine Wars did not do well at all. I mean, they had, what, one wave of figures? And they were all, like, G1 and G2 repaints, retools. They did not sell well. And then Hasbro regained a partnership with Takara. And they came up with the one thing that fixed Transformers, made transformation of the figures like leaps and bounds better, their articulation's better. It was the ball joint. They came out with the ball joint in Beast Wars, and it just reignited Transformers, and that was amazing. Like, seriously, if it wasn't for Beast Wars, Transformers wouldn't be around. And I honestly believe that. So, that's all for this box. And it's going to be another long video, and I'm sorry. But well, I do still have another box, and it's honestly bigger than this. But if I remember correctly, it's big figures. So it shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully I don't end up ranting and raving over, you know, every single one, or else it'll be another, heck, my phone says it's almost 37 minutes, so I hope you enjoyed it, because, you know, I had a lot of fun. So stay tuned, we'll get to the next boxes, and after that it's on to putting my video games back together. I took a lot of them down, splice them up. I'm gonna make like a best of my old stuff, and hopefully I can actually get back to playing some games and recording some videos and get some more of that going too. So hoping for some big things. So stick around.